Hello, my name is Sky Chapman, and today we'll be discussing ambient music. So let's start with a story about 16 years ago. The year was 2005. I was 11 years old, sitting at the computer at my mom's house. The time was around 11 p.m., and I was checking my MySpace, talking to people from wherever. The whole house was lacking illumination except for the computer screen casting light upon my face. Now, this was a time before Spotify and Pandora and YouTube were really big sensations. This was the LimeWire era, if we remember that. So I decided to utilize the radio functionality on iTunes, which was a feature back then. They had a genre listed ambient, and it intrigued me. I thought I heard that name once before in my earlier days. So I clicked, and out of the radio stations cascading down, one stuck out. Limbic Frequencies. It sounded cool, so I decided why not. The first track I heard was by an artist named Tycho off his first album, Past His Prologue, and I was instantly hooked. The dreamy melody lines created by synthesizers laid on top of head-nodding sampled hip-hop beats curated my journey into the rest of the night. I felt euphoria, a sense of ease, focus, and relaxation within. I struggle with anxiety and depression a lot, and it seems that I maybe have found a cure that was able to stabilize my moods through it. It was a pivotal point that had much influence over the following course of my life. Even today, ambient music plays a major role, providing a safe place where my surroundings seem chaotic often. Little did I know, I wasn't the only one that had this type of reaction to the music. An essay I read, written by Victor Szabo, who presented this piece for his doctorate in philosophy at the University of Virginia, discussing upon the matter of ambient music. Szabo stated in its early prototype days, there was a sound designer by the name of Irving Tybell, who had an idea of creating music and marketing it not for entertainment, but instead for psychological aids. This was during the late 60s, early 70s, so it was quite an out there concept, but people caught on and connected with the healing, relaxing sounds of nature captured by his field recorder and mixed with other elements. Inspired other artists at the time to take similar approaches with the use of drone music, such as Steve Reich. Now, the official term of ambient music came into play when Brian Eno released an album titled Ambient One, Music for Airports, in 1978. The genre had its first mention and came to light. In the liner notes for that album, Eno wrote a short essay describing his ideology for what ambient music was to me. And in quotes, ambient music must be able to accommodate many levels of listening attention without enforcing one in particular. It must be as ignorable as it is interesting. The best way I can describe discovering the soothing sounds of ambient music to someone who has never experienced the genre or anything similar would be to imagine going out somewhere new and you try a dish for the first time and it hits. You feel the sudden sensation wash over your whole body, and all you can feel is joy and pure bliss, knowing without a doubt that you just found a new favorite food and you want to keep consuming. Maybe not as much as that guy, but whatever floats your boat. Or perhaps the feeling you get when you travel to a new place, like a mountain overlooking a meadow in the spring with the sun beaming across. Possibly going to a new ocean spot for the first time, and just seeing that view that makes you stop for a minute and feel overwhelmed with astonishment. Whatever the setting may be, the feeling is still the same, at ease with yourself and everything around. And that's what it's like listening to the delicate melodies and soothful yet driving beats, if the composition even has it. Many ambient songs have no beat and just carry you on a spiritual, reflective inner journey. There are many resources to be utilized upon furthering down the rabbit hole of the genre, especially nowadays, whereas the subculture within ambient has evolved and expanded so widely, even to the point where major television networks such as Adult Swim, has promoted artists and visuals accompanying such. Ghostly International has quite an expansive roster of artists, some of which are among my personal favorite, like Tycho, who I mentioned before. They also have an active blog on their website as well, keeping the fan base up to date with new collaborations, shows, releases, merch even. Another label to dive into would be Warp Records, found at warp.net. This is the label that had a major role in pushing ambient music into more accessible realms for potential audience recruitment. Late 80s, early 90s artists adding a bit more dance feel to their tracks, incorporating samplism and other new techniques to make their sound stand out and become fresh. By far the most powerhouse looking roster in the genre, containing primarily all of the leading names that paved multiple pathways for countless acts to follow. Upon research of this, I even see that Brian Eno is part of the roster, the godfather of ambient himself. So go ahead and do yourself a favor, find a comfy place to sit, and discover one of the many artists out there. After doing that, drift away for a while. Your mind will thank you, your stress levels will thank you, and your overall sense of self will thank you. Believe me, it's wonderful.